iPhone, right? Everyone is using SoftBank because they don't have a choice. They want the iPhone. They're like, it's like this network sucks, but I have to use it, right? So the problem is if Apple says, well, we're also going to start letting Docomo sell it. It's a problem, isn't it? This is problematic, isn't it? So in that situation, right, basically, SoftBank has to compromise, right? Because the relationship is most important. Right? The overall relationship is a lot more important than how much money, how much profit share. They might say, okay, fine, we're willing to give you, we're willing to extend our contract with you for another 2 years. Would you have to give us 25% instead of 12%, right? So they might say, okay, listen, just let us keep, normally you would just try to negotiate and you try to meet somewhere in the middle, right? Usually that's what happens. You might say, okay, we gave you 12, now you want 25, let's just settle at 18. You know what they might do with it? When you compromise, right? You're basically giving the other side more, right? You're letting them have more. You're giving a competitive negotiator more. So they might say, okay, you know what? 22%, and let's just sign a deal. Maybe even closer to 25%, because the relationship is the most important thing. Once again, the key to negotiations, always remember your goal. What are we trying to get to? What's the most important thing at the end of the day, right? So in that sense, the compromise is important when the relationship is really the most important thing. It's the most critical factor, the relationship, right? It's kind of like, and why is this important, right? And you know what? I'll save this example for later, but at the end of the day, even if they give up 22, 23%, they're going to still keep making a lot of money because they know how many iPhones they sell per year. So they know that even if we gave them 30%, we're still going to make more money than if they open it up to our competitors and people can buy iPhones from Docomo, right? Or in Korea they can buy it from all the carriers, right? Instead of just who's the number one carrier? Is it SK Telecom, right? So like imagine if all the competitors get it, then SK sales are going to drop, right? So you compromise when you're really just trying to maintain the relationship, right? The last one though is the most interesting one. Collaboration. When you collaborate with someone, what are you doing? What does collaborate mean?
Teamwork.
Teamwork. Right? It's working together with someone, right? Collaboration means working together. Right? So think about it this way, right? What this really is when you work together with someone, right? How can you get someone to work with you? Think about it this way. If you have a coworker, right? Or if you have a friend, how do you get them to work with you?
To give some benefits.
Right. So you help them see the benefit, right? But more importantly, you help them see, so you have a goal. It means so you have a goal. And I have a goal, let's say. If you want to collaborate with me, you're going to come to me, right? And you're going to say, we have the same goal. We're working towards, we're looking in the same direction. You want to make money and I want to make money, right? So really what it is like you have to realize you are sharing goals. This is really important, right? You have to make the other side see that it's in your best interests. It's in both of our best interests to continue to work together. So let me give you an example, because we're all familiar with mobile technology, right? With mobile phones, right? If Apple, right, is coming to Verizon and saying, listen, AT&T is offering me 12% of the price that they sell each iPhone, and we need you to offer more, right? What do you do in that situation if you want to really have a collaborative, and this isn't always possible, but this is a situation where this is possible. If you really want to collaborate with, what does Apple want? Apple wants money, right? Apple wants per phone sold, they want money, right? Well, what can Verizon say in that situation? How can Verizon make them see that they have the same goal? That even if we want to pay you 10%, right? What can Verizon say? Think about it. When you use your iPhone, right? What are you using a lot of? You're using, whenever you're sending a text message, right? Or if you're researching something online, what are you using? Internet, right? What does internet use? Data, right? Every plan has data plans, right? So if I told you now that Verizon has the best data networks, right? They have the best networks, right? They have the capacity to handle such a huge amount of smartphone usage. They can say that listen, you might just be thinking about AT&T, but think about it this way. When people, if you sign a deal with AT&T, right, just because you think they're going to give you the most money, what happens when people start returning their iPhones and saying that, listen, my phone never works because the data is always offline, because AT&T had a lot of problems with this. In the years 2007, the first 2 years of the agreement, it was insane. Because everyone had iPhones, right? Everyone was buying iPhones, spending so much money on them. But people could never use their data plans because AT&T didn't realize how much extra towers they would have to build, right? Because they didn't realize how many people were going to buy the iPhone. Verizon was just looking at them and laughing the whole time and just preparing, because they know in 2009 your exclusivity agreement is gone, it's expired, right? That's when everyone gets the iPhone.
So you were saying that they had that agreement, right?
Yeah, the first 2 years it was exclusive to AT&T. There were people who signed up with AT&T just so they could use the iPhone, right? Now that sounds great, but the problem is a lot of people also started returning their iPhones. Do you know why? They could never use it. They could never use it. You could never search anything online because even sending text messages was hard because their network was overloaded all the time. AT&T had no idea. Their planning was really bad. They had no idea that this many people would not only be buying the iPhone, but using it all the time, right? And nowadays, your phone is like a little computer, right? You can search anything. You can load full web pages. You can watch YouTube videos, right? People stream HD video, right? 1080p video, right? So there's a lot of the requirement, right? The amount of data that we require from the networks, it's huge, right? So the thing is that they could say that, listen, you're going to have these problems with AT&T. We have data. We have research that shows that we have 60% more towers in the US than they do, which is why our network is always rated the best. So all these people are going to keep returning. You're signing a 2-year agreement with them. It's going to take them 2 years just to build enough towers to help people use the cell phones, right? So this is an example where you're helping Apple see that our goals are the same. And if you can get to a collaborative negotiation, this is where both sides win. Both sides understand that, even if, remember one thing, the best negotiation, okay, is a negotiation where both sides walk away. When they shake hands, they feel like, I could have done a little bit better. I could have gotten just a little bit. I could have paid just a little bit less for that. I could have paid a little bit, and the other side would be like, I think I could have gotten a little bit more money than that. But I'll write this down because this is the key to negotiations, right? So normally we think that, so here's the thing, right? So the best negotiation is one where, this is important, both sides walk away thinking that they they could have done a little better. This is something that I want you guys to remember, right? So normally, when you're first thinking about negotiations, right? If someone is selling that jacket that we were talking about for $135, right? You would think that, okay, I'm a great negotiator. I got it for 60, right? But I'll tell you why this is true, okay? In corporate negotiations, when companies are negotiating with each other, right? And I'll give you a real life example, okay? I work for a fashion retail company. We build stores. We have 1,000 stores all over the US, right? We build new stores, like maybe 100 new stores every year, right? So there's a part of the store in the front near the people who supply the doors, right? The glass doors and the metal pieces. That's called the storefront, right? We went through, and I was actually part of the team that did this. We did a very, very tough negotiation with them. And we made them pay us an amount of money that was really low compared to their competitors. We felt like they were going to do good work for us, and their price was like 30% less than everyone else, right? So we figured, okay, this is great. This is fantastic. We got it's a good supplier, right? It's a great price. We think this is going to be great for us. Can you guess what happened? 2-3 months later, can you guess what happened? Take a guess. What do you think happened? What do you think happens when someone promises a price that's really, really low? They couldn't do the business. 3-4 months into it, they said, listen, we bid too low. When we negotiated with you guys, we gave you too low a price. We're losing money. We're bleeding money, in fact. And it was a big problem for us. We had to immediately go back and sign agreements with other suppliers to help them out and stuff. It was a crazy situation, and I think it was our team's fault, actually, because we pushed them so hard on numbers, and they didn't care. They just wanted to win the business. It's just like AT&T, right? If AT&T signs that, the problem with that situation where you're compromising, if your compromise is too deep, I mean, if you're giving for every iPhone that you sell, if your profit is 30%, but of that profit you're giving 22% to Apple, I mean, 8% profit, it's really not a lot of money, and every year you have to spend more money as well, because you have to make more towers and stuff, right? That's really, in the long run, in the long term, right? Not tomorrow, not the day after tomorrow, 6 months from now, 12 months from now. That's a huge problem. So, when you think about it, it makes sense, right? You're just thinking, okay, the best price I can get it at, that's the best thing for me. But you're not thinking about 6 months later, you're not thinking about 12 months later. It was a nightmare, that situation, because I was part of that team. We were working nights trying to figure out a solution to this. They basically told us, we can't do this anymore. We told you we would give you these storefronts for $30,000 per storefront. It costs us $50,000 just to get all the materials. So that's a situation where you really have to think about the fact that that was one where it was an imbalanced negotiation. We walked away thinking, oh, we won. What a great result. But in the long run, what happened? We lost. I'll give you another example. So cell phone companies, right? They have to work with semiconductor manufacturers, like, the chips. Like, if you've ever opened up a cell phone or you've seen a computer or a motherboard, right? You've seen the chips, the microchips, right? So the company Nokia, right? They work with a chip manufacturer. I think I forget where they are exactly, but it's this one big company, right, that creates these microchips, right? And they had an agreement with them